Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh and this is your JIS News for Thursday, April 26. The National Health Fund NHF has launched a mobile app designed to cut waiting times to fill prescriptions at public pharmacies. Quick Prescript was designed by a local team and tested significantly before its full rollout on Tuesday. The Health Fund CEO, Everton Anderson, says it will cut waiting times to 30 minutes or less by allowing persons to send their prescriptions to the NHF electronically.
So we'll have kiosks which the patients will utilize to submit their prescription to the NHF back office. These prescriptions will be processed, contact will be made with the patient, and there will be arrangements to pick up the medication at a suitable and agreed time and place. In addition to the kiosks, the app is also available on the Google Play Store and will be available in the App Store shortly. So you can utilize your smartphone to submit your prescription.
In the next 2 months, the service will also be available to the 53 outlets participating in the Health Ministry's public-private pharmacy program.
What it says to me is that the NHF is responding to the clear needs that exist out there. They are responsive and sensitive to satisfying their patients, their customers in the area of drug administration.
The Jamaican government will be pressing its Venezuelan counterpart in short order for a response to its offer to purchase the South American government's 49% shares in the Petrojam oil refinery. The Venezuelan government's stake in Petrojam is held through the oil company PDV Caribe. Discussions to purchase the shares have heightened since the United States imposed sanctions on Venezuela, which could negatively impact Petrojam's operations. Energy Minister Dr. Andrew Wheatley updated Parliament on the discussions Tuesday, expressing concerns about the delayed responses.
The lack of appreciation on the part of the government of Venezuela now and over the last 10 years of the importance of this matter to Jamaica, especially as it relates to our energy security, is of concern to us.
He revealed that on April 16 of this year, PDV Caribe's legal team requested clarification on the taxation implications if they accept the offer. The Energy Minister says that documentation was sent to the company via email the following day, April 17. He says PDV Caribe's legal team is now examining that response and the government will be pressing for a response in short order. A new $16 million multi-purpose facility has been opened at the St. Augustine Place of Safety, an all-boys institution located in Clarendon. The facility's construction was funded by the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, CPFSA. During a recent tour, Education, Youth and Information State Minister Floyd Green said the boys' home was designed to support sport opportunities and skills training for its wards.
All the boys who come to St. Augustine, we enroll them in training activities. So again, they may only be here for 3 to 4 months, but we want to whet their appetite and see if they can harness their skills.
Minister Green says there are plans to construct a new dorm facility for the boys at St. Augustine.
So we're going to be starting some work this year on that new building. We're going to remove one of the old buildings and building a brand new state-of-the-art dorm facility.
The St. Augustine Place of Safety is home for about 30 boys who are remanded and in need of care and protection. The Ministry of Education is providing grief counseling for students at 3 Hanover-based schools. A trauma team was dispatched to the Rusiz High School to provide support following the untimely passing of a student who collapsed while on her way to school on Tuesday. Trauma teams were also sent to the Green Island Primary and neighboring Green Island Basic School, where siblings 8-year-old Jayana Coote and 4-year-old Shanique Coote attended. Both were reportedly chopped to death at home along with their mother Wednesday morning. The teaching staff at both schools say the girls were bright students with a passion for learning. Education Minister Senator Roel Reid says he is deeply troubled by the reports and has expressed condolences to their families and friends.
Their deaths are truly regrettable, and I pray for their family, especially their older siblings, as this painful loss must be unbearable.
The tourism product development company TPDCO is helping to promote Branded Jamaica by providing financial support to this year's staging of the Calabash Literary Festival. TPDCO is giving the festival's organizers $1.2 million to put on the event, which is expected to host nearly 1,000 patrons this year. The company's trained and certified craft producers and artisans will also exhibit at the literary festival. Executive Director of the TPDCO, Dr. Andrew Spencer, says the sponsorship recognizes the leverage that an event such as this can provide for community tourism in Jamaica. The Calabash Literary Festival will be held from June 1 to 3 in Treasure Beach, St. Elizabeth. This year's hosting will feature celebrated female poets, including Jamaica's own poet laureate, Lorna Goodison. And finally, the Electoral Office of Jamaica, EOJ, is reporting that all is in place for the April 27 by-elections to fill council seats in 2 municipal corporations. The Maypen North Division in the Clarendon Municipal Corporation was left vacant following the passing of the JLP's Melvin Jones last year. A by-election for the Yalas Division became necessary following a Supreme Court ruling that Dean Jones, the Jamaica Labour Party representative, was not eligible to sit in the St. Thomas Municipal Corporation. Voting will take place this Friday in 61 polling stations across the 2 electoral divisions. Polls open at 7 a.m. and will close at 5 p.m. The EOJ says training has been completed for all 168 Election Day workers. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.